we're going to be doing a book walk through the CPM book. The online book has a lot of resources and is fairly easy to use. So my screen does not have the CPM logo up yet. It's not in there. It's probably in yours by the time you get this, but that's what you'll look for in My Plan. So you'll always go through My Plan. You'll click on the CPM book, and then it should take you to your CPM login page, which will look like this. And depending on your course, so for Integrated 2, you'll click on the Integrated 2 book. That's the only one you'll really have access to. So then it'll pull up something that looks like this. So this is your online book, and you're going to click on the different chapters here. So the way the CPM book is organized, it has a chapter, a section, and then a lesson. So there'll always be 3 numbers associated with it. So let's go ahead and look at chapter 1. So when you click on chapter 1, you can see that it pulls up all of the different sections and lessons. Let's first start with the opening. So if you click on the opening, it will give you the title of the chapter, a guiding question, and it will give you an overview on what the chapter is about. So the different sections on what you'll be doing in there, and it just gives a nice little overview, what you're going to be doing, the guiding question you're going to be looking at. So let's go ahead and look at Chapter 1, Section 3, Lesson 4. So Chapter 1, Section 3, Lesson 4, so 1.3.4. Now each lesson is going to have a lot of different things inside the online textbook. So as you scroll down, it'll have some of the classwork. We're going to start right here with this, and the classwork will contain all of this good stuff. And then every once in a while, you'll see an e-tool. And oftentimes the e-tool is through Desmos, not always though. And when you click on it, it will take you to an interactive activity. So for example, we're looking at the triangle angle sum theorem. So looking at all the different angles, and I can change them and see the sum over here on the left is 180. So it will take you to these interactive tools that will help you answer some of the questions you have in there. And then you do have to click back to your book to get back to the book. So then scrolling down further, you'll see sometimes they'll have some blue words here. These blue words are defined, so you can click on them and it will give you the definition. So anytime a word is in blue. Scrolling down more, you see another e-tool here that you can play with. And then you get to something called math notes. Now the math notes are usually about a concept that you've learned before, and you'll probably need in the homework or the review and preview, so when we're looking at old material. So here are the math notes. These are things you're expected to know, so pay close attention to them. And again, sometimes the words are blue. You can go ahead and click on them. It will define them. Sometimes it'll give an image. So that's the math notes. Then you get to the review and preview. For all of the review and preview, you can go to something called homework help. And that homework help will help you through the problems. Sometimes it gives you hints, sometimes it gives you answers, sometimes it'll just give you a step. So for example, in this one, if I click on it, it will give me a hint, but it will not give me the answer for that one. And here it will give me a step, but not fully the answer. So most of them have some answers, but not all of them. So when you click on homework help, it actually opens up a whole other window. So you need to go back. If you wanted to go back to your textbook, you have to click over here to get back to the textbook. You can also access other parts of the problem from here. So you could click back to chapter 1, or you could click back to lesson 1.3.4. So if you go there, you can see the problems that they have the homework help on. And we're going to go ahead and click on 114, just so you can kind of see the steps here. So on this A right here, it'll give me some steps to do. And then if I still need more hints, I click on this and I still needed another hint, and then it will finally give me the answer. So sometimes it'll give you a series of hints. It's just supposed to help you get to the next step. So after you've looked at all of the homework, you can go back to the ebook. So you just click over here and then scroll all the way down, and that's what a lesson looks like in the ebook. So the other thing I would like to show you, it's different in this book, is the closure. So if you click on the closure, that's like a review of the chapter. So clicking on chapter 1 closure, It talks about the whole chapter. It's got different lessons here where you did some learning log entries, any graphic organizers. All of the math notes are all in one place right here, and you can click there and it'll go right to that math note. And then making connections, so these are all the vocabulary words, and again you can just click on them and they'll give you a definition and oftentimes a picture. And right here is what I really want you to look at are the closure problems. This is like a practice test. So these are closure problems that have to do with the chapter. They'll give you some problems here. In addition, there are ways for you to check your answers right here right at the end of the closure. So inside the closure are the answers to these problems. And not only that, but if you had trouble with that, it gives you a place where you can click on to go back and review. And then it also gives you more practice problems. So if this is one you missed on your closure problems, you can go back and work these problems for extra practice. So that's like a chapter overview. In addition, every chapter has what's called a checkpoint. And the checkpoint is a review problem. It's not from this chapter, but it's a review problem, and you're expected to have mastered those checkpoints. The checkpoints are not inside the chapter except for one review problem. So if you want some practice on the checkpoints, you have to go down here to what's called reference. And when you click on reference, then you'll see these checkpoints. And each chapter has a checkpoint. So if you click on the checkpoints, you can see up at the top the different chapters. So for chapter 1, checkpoint 1 is solving problems with linear and exponential relationships. So this is something by the end of chapter 1 you should have completely mastered. So this is the one problem in the chapter that has to do with that, so it's checking for you. And then it has a series of examples you can look at. So all of these examples right here. And then it's got more practice problems for you to work on. Like say this was something you didn't completely have. So you can do the checkpoint problems and then check your answers down here. That's a very valuable part about this book that gives you those examples, the questions, and then the answers. You also under reference can access the glossary and the index. So those two things, if you wanted to look up where something was in the textbook, you could click index. And if you needed some definitions, you could click the glossary. So the online textbook is really very helpful and very interactive with clicking on the links.